Okay. Hello, it's Candice Lee from Candice Lee. Hi. It's funny when you're talking to yourself. Hi, it's Candice Lee. Candice Lee Fired Up, independent Epicure consultant and meal prep whiz. And welcome to Women's Growing Empire lunchtime chat. And today it is going to be about meal prepping and planning. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll get started. Okay, so what I'm all about is actually sharing the experiences I have learned through going down the path of dealing with different doctors and things like that for when I have, well, still kind of do, keep migraines at bay, but migraines were my thing as a child. And then of course, as an adult, it got worse to the point that I didn't know the difference between having a migraine and not, because I had about 25 a month. And the chronic pain, to the point that like my hair hurt, every part of my body hurt. I didn't like being touched at all. And of course, it made me not the most friendliest person. When you're in that much pain, you tend to be very grumpy. And I had tried different procedures with doctors and many different doctors and different natural paths to the point that we decided just to eliminate some things from my diet more than I already was. So like dairy and red meat and that. Sugar and salt I was always working on, but it wasn't enough. It actually, with this process, found that it was the seasonings and broths and dressings and all that that was actually the killer part for me. For example, when I was very sick, I would come home and make my own like homemade pho, but I use like Campbell's chicken broth, and then I would throw in my protein and my veggie in that. And then pass out, but then because of being exhausted all day. And then when I moved away from using Campbell's broth to using Epicure's broth, aka why I am an Epicure consultant, I then realized just how much sodium was in all that, and MSG and other things that unnatural flavors that we didn't need to have in your body. It was almost night and day for me from moving from using Campbell broth one night to Epicure the next, to where when I got up in the morning, I didn't feel as lethargic and bloated. And when I came home in the evening, I actually had a bit more energy at the night, not just literally eat and pass out. I actually could do something. So it was like, you know, Bing kind of idea. And then that's where I got into eating more Epicure and trying more things, to the point that, of course, I'm a consultant now. So, but I live and breathe it at home, which is partly why a lot of the things I will talk about is based on what I've either learned as being an Epicure consultant or learned through my own process of dealing with meal prepping and planning. So that's where that comes into. Because I was eliminating things from my diet, and I was having a proud time with sauces and spices and that, eating out was harder. Of course, that meant takeout was harder, all that kind of stuff. So it means you had to eat at home more often and make your own food so that you weren't feeling as sick. So that is what I did. And of course, I'm busy just like everyone else is here. I do have a full-time job as a project manager, but I also was trying my hand at being a direct seller and trying my own thing at all that with Happy Healthy Women. So if you go down the next slide, but maybe, oh, for some reason, okay. There you go. As you can see, I have quite a few little titles against my name because I do Epicure and I do have a full-time job as a manager of project managers. I'm also the branch director for Happy Healthy Women and Etobicoke and all that. So I'm, you know, entrepreneuring and doing the corporate thing at the same time, trying to make it all work for me, which means that I'm not home a lot. I'm running around, I've got things to do, I gotta get to the office, I gotta go to these events. So figuring out a way to not eat out and still make my own food and bring it with me was huge. So that is what I was working on. I figured out breakfast, and then I figured out lunches and then dinners, and I just slowly started incorporating different ways. And that's partly what I want to teach here, is to show that you can take control of your own health, your way, with your own food, whatever diet that you have to be following or not diet that you have to be following. I'll talk a little bit about the 4 pillars of meals, but it's more what's best for you. So for me, eating 3 balanced meals a day works best for me. But you might be someone who likes the 4 to 6 meals, very small ones. Maybe you're doing intermittent fasting. It doesn't really matter when it comes down to meal prepping and planning. It matters what you want to be doing. So all it matters is that you're doing what you like and you're eating what you love, and then you're happy enjoying it while you're doing it. And it's not a chore, and you're not grumpy about it, because that negative energy goes into your food as well. So that is partly what I'm all about, is just trying to show how you can do this. So one, let's just dive into all that, and then I will get into my top tips as well. So one, as I said, there are pillars about how you do all this, and I'm not, as I said, about dieting or anything like that. It's just a lifestyle, and then having control of your health your way. So, right. So there are so many reasons why you would meal prep at home, you know, self-esteem, relationship with your food, maybe trying to eat mindful, better hair and skin and nails is a lot of that as well. Maybe you're trying to lose weight. Maybe you're just trying to control your food cravings. There's so many things you can do. Oops, that's not what I wanted. And then, so that's kind of why, in essence, we do this, but we can get right into the science behind everything. We are quite aware of this. I'm sure many of us here understand that most of the chronic illnesses out there is something we can control by what we put in our bodies, what habits we do, what we put on our skin, how we interact throughout the day with other people, things like this. Stress is a huge one, and we can take control of that. For example, migraines. As a kid, it was totally like, it's weather related. If it's, you know, the barometer changes, I'm going to get a migraine. And I used to have like osteopaths and that tell me, you can stop that, you can control that. And I'm like, what do you mean? It's the weather, I can't control that. But of course, once you learn something, it kind of sticks, and I can. So I'm actually pretty much 0 migraines. I'm in control of them. The weather doesn't do anything. It's pretty much if I allow things like stress or something to interact with me more than I really want. So a little bit of self-doubt in there, maybe you're, you know, the guilt or shame or something starts to come down on me, I'll get one. Usually now, because I'm quite aware of it, I'll be like, oh, that's what that is for. And as soon as I acknowledge it and state I'm not doing that or change it, the migraine goes away. So again, I'm in control of all that. And also the better you eat too. So the good food you put in your body, where more energy you get, what ends up happening is then you're able to mentally deal with things like stress and that better. But the moment you start eating bad food or crappy food or stuff that's not good for you, your strength to be able to handle the emotional stress coming at you goes down, and it just spirals down, which means you eat more bad food and it just keeps going. So the better food you eat, the better you are to handle things, and then of course, the better choices you will make. So we have that. So then we get into the 4 pillars as I was talking about: taste, quantity, quality, and frequency. And it's basically, taste is everything, right? So it's training your taste buds, right? So we'll get on to that one. So changing your taste buds or adjusting your ones. If you're someone who maybe was eating a lot of sugary type things before, it can take a few weeks for you to get over the sugar high and the crash and all that. But basically what they say is that you can retrain your taste buds in about 6 to 8 weeks, just slowly eliminating. So it's not a big crash, and slowly adding in something else to counter it. So there are many things out there to say, if you're craving chocolate, for example, you actually want magnesium. If you're craving something sugary, like, they have things out there for that. So just kind of see what maybe your cravings are. And I'm just jumping on sugar, but there are so many things out there that maybe it's sodium, maybe it's something else that you're trying to eliminate. Maybe it's meat. You're just trying to stop eating a lot of meat and you're just trying to change that. Getting more protein from somewhere else will help you realize you don't need to eat the protein from the meat as much. But it's knowing that, knowing where you can get protein from, and iron and magnesium and all that is key to working out taste buds if you're trying to remove something from your normal meal food that you eat. And then quantity, yeah. Well, I'm not looking at that right. So yeah, this is it. So if you're looking to eat, say, for example, like I said, 3 balanced meals, and the reason why maybe you're snacking is because the meal you had at breakfast, you're not full, so you're hungry within an hour or two, and then of course you want a snack. And that may be why you're doing 4 to 6 meals, is that because your meals aren't balanced enough. So having the right amount of protein and veggie and carbs and healthy fats is key, because all of it together helps, one, slow down the digestion so that it's not just in and out kind of idea, right? You're getting all the energy from it, the nutrition and everything, but it's happening slowly, so you're not as hungry as quickly, and you can last a few hours, and your body's getting all it needs, so that you're not what I love to say, a car without any gas. You're going and going, but you've got nothing you're just running on fumes. So you can see that there. And the next one is frequency. So this is where I talk about the 3 balanced meals. But again, it's up to you. If you are a 4 to 6 person, or you like your snacking, or you're intermittent, you do what's right for you. I find this works for me. So if I eat a really balanced meal in the beginning, I'll understand. I don't get full until close to lunchtime. And a lot of that is focusing on that. So it means being mindful when you're eating. Don't jump right away to eating food. Maybe you're thirsty. Drink a glass of water first. Give yourself some time to see if you're actually hungry. Do the whole, give me 15 minutes and then go get a snack if that's really, if you're still hungry after that, and after have a glass of water. And so there's lots of tips on that. I'm sure there's tons of naturopaths, dietitians, and nutritional coaches out there that give lots of tips on that. But basically, yeah, this is what it's all about. And then there is quality. So obviously, 400 calories of one thing is not the same as 400 calories of another. So it's even like going against a cake. You could have a slice of cake that's only 100 calories, but it's got nothing in it for you. Where if you had 100 calories of walnuts, it's got all the stuff that you like. It's got some protein and it's got some fat and all that, and it'll actually keep you fuller longer than having a piece of cake. Yeah. So you can see here with the example of what oil looks like, what beef looks like, and what veggies look like, and how much and then fuller you would be, right, based on all of that. So we're pretty much trying to focus here on being conscious of what you're eating. So how much sodium and sugar you're getting, how much protein you're getting, and healthy fiber and healthy fats and all that, and then making sure you've got an optimum amount of vegetables and on your plate that's giving you a balance of all the nutrition. So there you go. So that is the 4 pillars. If you have any questions about that or want information, feel free to talk to me, message me, or ask questions. Okay, let's get right into what I'm talking all about, which is plan, prep, and portion. Okay, so for me, first thing to kind of get an idea is that if you're already somebody who, say, schedules their week, so say it's Saturday or Sunday or Monday morning, and you're putting out your whole week, you're looking at your appointments, your coaching calls, whatever it is that you're doing. And even if you have a corporate job and you're looking to see, well, when I have to go to the doctor, take your kids somewhere and all that, still look at your whole week. And then you're planning out all what you have to do, right? But while you're planning all that, or even if you don't, I'd love to chat to you about how to do that, is you need to also look at what you're going to need to eat as well. So why not even do a simple plan of, okay, we're home 3 nights, I'm out here, I'm doing this, write it down with it, and you go for it. And you'll be able to see, just where you can actually meal prep and how easy it is, where you can make quick 20-minute meals, where you can maybe sit home and have a nice roast or something. Like you're in control of all that. So that's why I say schedule the scheduling, like actually sit down and schedule that. So an example of what a meal plan could look like this is Epicure's one, but there are many out there. It's literally breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and dessert. It's got the weeks, and you would just write down, and I usually go a little deeper. I write down what day of the week it is, what my plans are, where am I going, and then I can see, yeah, forget it, I'm out dinner this time, I have an event I have to deal with, so I need something quick, I'm at the office, so I need to be able to take it with me, things like that. If you work on that, that is the first step to, one, organizing the what's for dinner question that you have every night, for even for yourself or for anyone in your family. If you can kind of see where you're going to be that day, you'll know what you can kind of plan for dinner that day. So that's the first step. Next step is that when you've made all this, say you've written it all down, you know what you're going to make, you got breakfast planned, it's smoothies or it's oatmeal or something, or eggs, and then lunch you got all planned out, and maybe there's cook once, eat twice items, there's all that in there. post it on a fridge or on a whiteboard or a blackboard or something where you and your whole family can see it all the time. So when you're coming home or you're heading off in the morning and you're looking at what's for dinner, if it says, you know, you're having like chicken souvlaki or something, then you'll know you need to pull out the chicken, say, from the freezer, or it's already out and you're good to go, or you're having butter chicken and you need your chickpeas. Make sure you got a can of chickpeas and it's all ready and you can come home and quickly throw it all together. And that's the fun of it too, is that you can change it and be creative and adapt it all based on how you feel that night as well. And that's usually the base for me for meal prepping and planning. So one is pantry and fridge and freezer scenario. Make sure they're stocked with the food that you like to eat. So if you're someone who likes a lot of, I do curries or butter chickens, we'll have coconut milk ready for that. If you're someone who likes black beans and chickpeas, have cans, or if it's not, if you are someone who wants to go from dry and you got to rehydrate them, then that's part of your meal prepping, right? Is to plan prepping your beans and all that. I just do cans. It's a lot easier for me. As I said, I really do want the 20-minute meal. So I have cans of chickpeas and black beans and cans of tomatoes, diced or crushed, it doesn't matter, set aside. Nothing in it, just that's what it is, and I can quickly throw it in to whatever it is I'm making. I usually soak the beans a little bit before using them, so remove some of the sodium from that, and then I go from there. So that's up to you. Again, having your dry ingredients like your flours and your baking sodas and vinegars and your balsamic vinegar and your white rice vinegar, whatever it is you like, and olive oils or avocado oils, having all that always ready for you so you can easily come home and throw something together. Of course, I would totally say have a whole bunch of Epicure meal plans available as well, because they're super fast and super quick to make and adaptable. So example, like the new Asian stir fry or the butter chicken or the curries, it's almost in essence the same concept of it needs a protein and some vegetables. So that protein and vegetables you can apply to any one of those. It just changes up the flavor. But if you're someone, for example, who can only have chicken and broccoli, based on what is your stomach and your digestion, you can easily just throw that into any form. You can make a Mexican one night, an Asian, an Italian, an Indian, and that's pretty much why I love our meal solutions, because they're awesome for that, for adapting to whatever diet you have or whatever flavor you're looking for that day. But the base of it can basically stay the same. You can have chickpeas anyway, but different flavors or anything like that. Oop, I lost my spot. Sorry about that. So that's kind of where I start with that. So if you want to start small, my first thing is scheduling the scheduling. Actually spend a little bit of time scheduling it. Next, post it out so that you can see it and you get into the habit of looking ahead to know that you're having this tonight. And then what you basically stock up. So make sure your pantry, your fridge, your freezer are good to go. Freezer, totally recommend having frozen veggies and frozen fruit always on hand, because that's pretty easy to toss that into anything, again, like a butter chicken or a curry or an Asian stir fry. Super easy if you have things like that. And then when it gets to the time of having groceries, one, if you shop at home first and make sure you don't need vegetables because you've got them frozen or you've got cans, you're good to go, and you just buy your fresh produce. So your lettuce and your carrots and celery or your avocados and all that, and you're stocking up on that on the day you go get groceries. But when you come home, we're getting groceries, recommend giving yourself an extra half an hour to actually put everything away as best as you can. So if you buy vegetables that are in the packages, like for example from Costco, I recommend getting them out of the package that day if you can, or on your meal prepping day, and don't have your meal prepping day too far from your grocery day, because a lot of the moisture is caught inside that bag. And that's why a lot of the vegetables in essence rot faster, is because there's too much moisture in there. So I get them out, I'll wash them, I'll lay them out to dry, or I'll dry them, and then I'll put them into the fridge or whatever it is we're doing. So basically the fridge. There's different ways to store different things. If you have a cold area, you can put your, you don't have to put your potatoes and things like that or squash into the freezer or a fridge, sorry. That can stay out if you have a spot for that. Citrus fruit, same thing. If like you don't have to like put in container, it can go into your crisper drawer at the bottom. But I have a lot of tips on those from different ones, but it's whatever works best for you. But there's simple ways to do it, but basically I put out that you wash and dry them before you actually put them away from majority of your vegetables. And if you're into Tupperware, they're great. Do the same thing. I use some of their stuff and then put like the celery and carrots and all that into there. So a little bit of time for that. And again, if you're a single person or two or have a full family, buying your protein, portion it out for those meals so that you know that you need so many pieces of chicken thigh for a normal meal of, let's say, the 2 of you or 4 of you or 6 of you, whatever, and then that's portioned out away from if you buy the big family packs, which of course is cheaper, and then you just divide it up. But try not to throw the whole family pack into the freezer, because what ends up coming out is the whole thing, and then you're having chicken like 2 days or 3 days or 4 days in a row, and then you're going to get sick of it, and then the whole process kind of falls apart at that time. So it's best to take it all out of the containers, and that way each day you can have a little creativity and some changing. So you can go from chicken to one day to vegan the next day to fish and move along. And of course, if you're vegan, same idea. You can buy the Ease ground soy. You can have your jackfruit. You can have all that stuff ready. You can even freeze a lot of it so it's ready to go, and then have it out by portion, especially if you're maybe 1 to 2 people, or you're only cooking this meal for yourself and maybe not for someone else. That's that. Of course, cooking once, eating twice is awesome. That's partly what I do with my meal prep. So basically on a Sunday morning, for example, on the 19th of this month, I will be doing a live Facebook class where I will show you how I'm meal prepping for that week. And within that hour, I will do pretty much all of our meals prepped and ready to go without too much of the sauce and stuff done, just ready to go. But come on, I'll show you what I'm talking about. But the idea is that I'll make ahead, say my breakfast. So I could have my smoothies all set aside and ready to go. I'm just gonna blend them. I can make pancakes. I love my superhero cookies that we have there. It's an awesome recipe for making, and I make a whole bunch for the week. You could make our new protein bliss balls that are awesome. There's so many things you can make a whole bunch of and then freeze and only pull out what you need. So your pancakes, your waffles, all that kind of stuff, and cookies and the oatmeal cookies I'm talking about, you can put them all into the freezer and pull only what you need for that day. What I do is freeze most of it. And then in the morning, I'll either grab 2 and head to work. And by the time I get to the office, they're defrosted and I can eat them. Or if I know I'm going to have them before I leave the office, I pull them out the night before, or I'll pull out like 3 days worth, and that's in the fridge, and I'll know to grab them, and they're fine, they'll last. And that's the same thing you can do for salad dressings and dips and salsas and guacamole and all that kind of stuff you can make on your meal prepping day. Then I'll go through the week for you, and then you do it again, and you can change up your salad dressing and all that, and then at least you know that you've got some options, especially like if you're making nourish bowls or something you like to do, like Buddha bowls, we call nourish bowls, having things like guacamole, salsa, hummus ready. You can literally say one day you're having a little bit of leftover chicken in your nourish bowl, but you want it with the hummus, or you want it with the sweet potatoes. You can have all that prepped and ready to go. Doing your grains ahead is awesome as well. The day of your prep, you can do a couple cups of quinoa or brown rice or something, and then you know it's in the fridge, and you can literally scoop your half a cup out, or your cup, or whatever it is you're doing, and make your meals. So that's an awesome thing to do. And literally you'll see that it only takes me about an hour, and that's from getting the kitchen prepared, making it all, and cleaning up. And that's it. The planning ahead, that'll take me maybe 10 to 15 minutes. It just depends on what I have planned for that week. But literally, from that point, you can say like under an hour, you've got this all done. And if people are helping you, even better. So more hands in the kitchen, everybody partaking, which is easier to actually get those people eating the food you're making as well. So if you have an issue of trying to get your children or even your husband to get on board with this meal prepping and planning, they're like, well, I don't know if I want butter chicken tomorrow night and stuff. But if they're part of the process, like creating it and getting it all done, they'll be on board with it because they did it as well. They put their effort into it and time, and they'll want to see or eat or taste what they made as well too, right? So it's a great way to get people involved and get people wanting to do it, right? Being engaged, leaning in. So I totally recommend getting them in the kitchen and helping you meal prep and helping you plan and doing all that. So all in all, as I said, it could take maybe an hour to 2 hours, but it really is about an hour. And don't overdo it, and don't do too much at once. Like start one way, which is simply just, maybe it's just scheduling. just looking down what time you have to eat things and seeing what you can do. And then the next week, maybe add in the whole checking out your pantry and your freezer and see how that goes. And then step by step, you'll start to see how each one of these steps is actually giving you back a lot of time for you to go do whatever it is that you're looking to be doing. Whether what you want, more me time in the morning with your routine, more time just sitting around talking with your kids. And this is great too, because you can chat while you're doing all your meal prepping and cooking together. Okay. So these are like epic tips I would say, but basically, you can make a lot of things ahead and freeze them and get them done. You can assemble those nourish bowls I was talking about, or Buddha bowls, ahead of time. Just don't put the liquid portion in, but you can, so it doesn't wilt your veggies, but you can have your quinoa and your veggies and all that ready, and then last minute you put into the wet pieces and take it off. It works great. Dessert is a huge thing. You can make all that on the meal prepping morning as well, and then freeze it into portions so that each night, if you've got kids who want something, you can have some brownies. Pudding, we got an awesome pudding that takes like 10 minutes to make up, so you don't really need to meal prep it. But if you're worried about eating the whole pudding at once, it's great to put them in little prep bowls or little containers, like half a cup each or quarter cup, whatever you want to do. That way it's a cute little snack to have, and it's low in sugar and you're good to go. But that's our sugar, that's our pudding, our pudding I'm talking about. And you can even add in protein, which is cool. And yeah, I can get on that topic. If that is something you're looking to try to do, add some nutrition to whatever it is you're making. So protein, vegetables, things like that. You can sneak in things like that into your sauces that you make. So say you make a marinara, you can add some spinach or something to it. Don't do a lot, but a bit, or squash, and then it will just kind of like thicken it up, and most people don't notice. Same thing with protein. You can add protein powder to your pancakes and your waffles and your muffins and your desserts, your brownies, your pudding. And again, most people don't really notice, as long as you haven't overdone it just a little bit. It just gives enough to add a little extra nutrition to the already amazing food that they're having. So there you go. This is an example of what we offer with Epicure, part of our good results guide. They'll actually break down nourish bowls, dinners, soups, and stuff for you. We'll say, so if you have a particular things you can't eat or don't want to eat, it gives you swapping ideas. So you can see, like here, starches and pastas and things, and you can go ahead and switch it for the protein as well. So if you're vegetarian or you want your meat, fish, it tells you the portion sizes and what you can do. So they're pretty awesome. So if you're interested in having one or two of these guides or want to see what that's all about, I can talk to you about our Good Food Results program. And then lastly, this is what in essence we're doing, is like, meal planning with a whole week and with grocery lists. But this is the idea that I'm would love to show you how you can do this yourself. You can get yourself a journal if you'd like. Epicure has a great one where it's even by week if you're looking to see what you ate and how it felt, and maybe you're exercising or your priorities and water. If you're interested in all that's great. If you're not, simply grab yourself a spreadsheet and type down your dates and months and what your food is like. So if it's 4 meals or 6 meals, write them all out and figure it out, and then at least have that posted somewhere where you can see it and then know what kind of groceries and stuff you need to get. So there you go. Thank you very much for being here. Again, if you have any questions or any comments or anything like that, feel free to contact me here in the group, or message me at doucette.candice@gmail.com, or on my Facebook or Instagram. So I'd love to, let me see what I have up here. Here we go. Yeah, here's my information. You can go ahead and contact me here. We can set up a clarity call to kind of give an idea of what it is, where you want to start with. I can show you the tips and stuff that Epicure can provide you. I can provide you in my Fired Up program as well, if that's something you're interested in. I have great training videos and tips and guides and all that. So yeah. And if Epicure is something you want to get into your life because it's clean, no gluten, no nuts, no MSG, no artificial flavors or colors, really low in sugar and salt or none whatsoever. If you want to start getting those into your kitchen, especially the 20-minute meals, they're super awesome. Butter chicken, Thai, you name it. really good. Love to chat and talk to you about that. But otherwise, go ahead and post below in the Facebook group and that too, with any questions you might have, or just reach out to me. Have a beautiful day. Thank you.